Well, hey, friends, I'm so glad that you are here with me on Backstage Pass. It's going to be a great day today to hear another awesome story of folks in the mentoring program that are having a lot of success. Beth Affolter is my guest today. Beth, you've been a part of the mentoring program for a long time, having some incredible things going on in your life. So welcome. Super glad to have you on today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
That's right. And we can be cousins because you're just right over the mountain there in
I
Tennessee.
am. Well, and my family's from Spartanburg, South Carolina. So that's
See,
even closer,
y'all
right?
had to come through here anyway, right?
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
tell everybody where you are, what you do, and creatively and that sort of thing, and then we'll kind of jump into a little bit of your story here today.
Perfect. Well, I'm a painter, an artist, a teacher, a mentor, a lot of things. I've done a lot of different careers in my life. I've been a graphic designer. I have been a professional artist. I have been a teacher in the high school art area. And I just have jumped around to a lot of different things, trying to kind of find who I am in Christ and who God has called me to be.
Yeah,
And so, like I said, I've had a lot of different paths, and I feel like they've all been stepping stones,
yeah,
that just kind of works where you're maybe trying one thing and another, and that didn't really go the way you wanted. And but it's all really led me to right here where I am, and that's teaching other people how to co-create with God
yeah.
and teach the art lessons that go with that to hone their skills and be able to do my own art with them. It's just all kind of connected.
I love it. I love it. And I love the fact that you're experiencing that convergence where it all kind of comes together. It's not this or that, but it's like when we start walking in the kingdom, it all kind of comes together. So, the thing I love about your story, and you can kind of take us through this, is that you're not somebody that just was like, well, I was a hobbyist for a long time. Then I tried to do my art and it didn't work out. And then I found the mentoring program and praise God, it all worked out. You were a successful artist. Like you had a lot of great stuff going on, but you ended up shutting that down and then kind of coming back. So talk about that, because I think it's such an interesting story of how the Lord has brought you to this wonderfully healthy place that you are, not only in your business, but also spiritually. How did all that unfold for you?
Well, it's kind of a journey, I guess, right? I mean, I started out knowing that I wanted to do art. I've done art my whole life, probably since the age of 3, painting a mural on my wall when I
Oh,
was supposed to
wow.
be taking a nap. But my parents encouraged me to do art. And yet at the same time, I think I got the message along the way that it needed to be practical
Mm,
and make sense and sell. And so I was a professional artist after I left graphic design and started a family. I started doing my art professionally, and I was in several galleries and selling art like crazy. And it was really successful on one end, but
yeah.
not fulfilling at all. Like
Mm,
I think I had my self-worth tied to my sales and
yeah.
my whole art experience. And then I came across your podcast, and it started to open that door, and God started working in my heart to really understanding really who I am in Christ and what it means to be in the kingdom and to be an artist. And I was a little hesitant at first because I just I was all over the place, really. And
Right.
so I felt God was calling me to let go of my art. And so I really had to let it go. And
Now let's just
whew,
pause there because I love this. So I'm an artist. I'm a successful artist. I start listening to Matt Tommy, and Jesus says, "Lay it all down." I don't know
uh-huh.
that this is having the effect that
Exactly.
Matt Tommy helped me
And
quit my art business.
and I was like, okay, well, here we go. And so at the same time, I'd always taught, and I do believe it's sort of connected to my art and being able to work with others, that collaboration. And so I just dove into full-time teaching. And it is difficult to be a high school art teacher and do that full-time as well as
Sure.
do the other full-time. And so I just sort of dove into that. But again, realizing that I was kind of living that life of performance, right? I mean, I was a performance-based believer in so many ways. And I love the mentoring program where it just helped me renew my mind and realize, okay, that's not really God's plan.
Yeah.
And so I started to do that with my high school art as well. And help those kids achieve and do all these great things. And it became more about like, and I was like, wow, I'm doing it again. And so
Isn't that crazy how when that's the pattern, no matter what the expression is, right? I mean,
Mhm.
you just replicate what you know, because that's what we're taught, and just get out there and make it
Exactly.
happen, right?
But this time I was able to see it. And I think, in part that was really due to the mentoring program and, the talking and I love the biz chats and the community chats where, people are helping you and you're helping them. And it sort of helped me open again more doors. And
Yeah.
I kind of joke with a lot of the people in that forum about, I was stuck in the renewing of your mind for a couple years. It's been a process because that's what I needed. I
Mm,
needed to really understand and relearn who I am,
yeah.
and that it's enough. That it's in
Yeah.
our DNA to be an artist and creative. And like for me, that is who I am. And that gave me that permission. And gosh, it's been wonderful since. So then I left the teaching career because again, I was feeling like it was no longer fulfilling. I was doing it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
And it was really after the Mastermind conference. The first one that I saw was online during COVID.
Okay.
And I had one of the best years I'd ever had in teaching. Like, I mean, my kids were just knocking it out of the ballpark and all
Yeah. So
these
top of
national
your game, right?
competitions, right? And it was like, okay, it's time to let it go.
Wow.
And I, I resigned. And I was shocked that I did it, but I did. I took that leap of faith and felt like God was calling me back to my art business, but in a new and different way. Like
Mm,
it's more about the peace and just the walking in the kingdom, and the striving is not there anymore. It's just so different. Now, that doesn't mean that I haven't gone back a little bit to, the striving. And I, I resigned and I was like, okay, here we go. I'm going to go 100 miles an hour back
yeah.
into my art
Crank
business
it up. Here we go. Well,
because I
I'm
had to
interested, I think,
go.
because I think people will be interested, Beth, like, what does that look like, before, when you had a successful art business versus now that you have a successful art business? What are what practically, like, what are some of the things that you're not doing that you used to do, and some of the things that you're doing that you didn't used to do, to kind of help you have that balance place with the Lord?
Sure. Yeah. Well, when I was doing it before, I was making a lot of sales, but they weren't fulfilling because I was just, okay, I have to do another. I was really doing all these big Nashville scenes. They were really popular, and I would spend weeks on them, just toiling over them, having, that perfectionism and that, it has to be a certain way. Each one
Yeah.
had to be a little better, and I would do that, and then it would sell right away. And that was great, but then I had to do another one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it was like, oh my gosh, I'm on this treadmill of like, perfectionism. And it was just not really uh, at all fulfilling. And it was very overwhelming. So the difference now is I'm able to check in with God first and co-create with him. And so I'd never done that. I mean, I grew up a Christian. I believed in God. I had a relationship with Jesus, but I'd never put that with my art. Like for
Mm,
some reason it was separate.
yeah.
Which now doesn't make any sense to me that I did that. But it's just sort of how it worked. Like that was my business and that's what I did. And then now having gone through, a few years of the mentor program, I've realized, oh, okay, it's not separate at all. That's who I am.
Yeah.
And, just to be able to paint with God and work with God, that's the beauty of it. Like it's up to God to sell it. It took the pressure off of me. The weight of the world was gone. I didn't feel like I had to strive or work towards anything. If it didn't sell, just the right person wasn't there, and that was okay.
Yeah.
Like that was all
Now,
right.
explain that to somebody that may be new to that concept of, that doesn't mean you're not working. That doesn't mean you're not out there
Yeah.
doing what you need to do and selling and offering your work and all that sort of thing. But so differentiate that for somebody that may be like, or like, what, how does she,
Right.
like, what does that feel like? What does that look like? Because we're all so programmed to strive and to like
Yeah.
feel like we got to make it happen, to the pressure of that.
Well, for me, it was more about being diligent and showing up in the studio and spending time with God than it was about cranking out artwork that I thought would
Mm,
sell. Because my mindset had gone to that, product like professional, like I have to have like the next thing, it has to sell at the show and it has to be, this or that. And so now it's just, okay, Lord, what are we painting today?
yeah.
And that's so freeing for me. And it's so funny because those are the things that are really resonating with people now, watching it happen. And it doesn't happen right away. And but yet I had my very best show ever I've ever had in December. And the
Wow.
things that sold were not the things that I thought would sell.
Isn't that
They
great?
but it was like this little glimpse that God was giving me to go, okay, look, this is speaking to this person, and it wasn't time for it before to sell, but now this is for this person. Like
Yeah.
I had to wait to let it happen. So it's really all it's been about God's timing for me and learning that. And so I'm coming off this huge grand show, and I'm doing all these commissions, and I had a lot of peace about them. I was doing commissions right before Christmas. Of course, I waited to the last minute, and I still had a lot of peace. That was huge. I didn't
Yeah.
panic. I didn't stress. I just enjoyed doing them, and that was so new for me. I really loved that.
Wow.
But then January came, and everything stopped, and I
Crickets,
was
right?
like, okay, Lord, what is going on? Like, why? I thought we were on this. Like, I was applying to shows, and okay, shows. That's it. That's what I'm doing. I had my best
Sure.
show ever. That's got to be where I'm going. And crickets.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, okay. And I knew deep down in my heart that I was really being called to work on an online program and classes for online. And yet it was really kind of uncomfortable for me. So I was sort of putting it off. And I really think God just sort of cleared my plate and said, okay, now we're working on this. And I was able to hear it.
Yeah.
So it did take a little bit of a, it was a little bit of a struggle in getting it going, but I believe, having set up that vision and working it through all of that has been the key.
Yeah.
So,
So how is that going? Are you teaching online now and doing some things? Is that starting to
well,
bubble up? And
it is in process.
uh-huh.
I will be launching my first course, I think, in a couple of weeks,
Uh-huh.
maybe a little longer. I've done all the videos. I did all my stuff finally, and it's ready,
Nice.
and it's in the hands of um, the friend that I use to do my website.
Yeah.
And so she is doing the actual putting it on the website and doing the whole like technical portion of it.
Sure.
And I think I'm going to launch a membership with it. I feel like that's where God's leading me as well.
How
So
wonderful.
it's a brand new world. I mean, I did online teaching in high school last year with COVID, or 2 years ago with COVID.
So you got free training. See the whole
I
there you
did.
go.
I really feel like that was like really, it
Yeah.
was really hard. We got thrown in the deep end. Teachers, ooh, let me just say,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
thrown in the deep end for sure. But I was like, wow, okay, this is perfect. Like I can use that now for this next step.
Yeah.
And my big vision and doing the whole vision board and having the goals, the 90-day goals has been huge, because it's allowed me to have that filter to kind of put it through.
Yeah.
And so while I think shows are going to be on there, I don't put that on my goal anymore. I leave that to God.
Yeah.
It's a little different kind of goal.
Yeah.
So
Well, it's so good. I think you're learning about, just having a, multi-channel marketing, kind of machine that's running, because I mean, I always have that in my business as well. You have seasonality, like for me in Asheville all these years, like April through November, like that was our big time. But end of note, like Thanksgiving through Easter, you're like crickets, there nobody's here. So I'm teaching classes and traveling, doing all the things, that's when you launch, because that's when, you just learn what your season and what your flow is. And I love that you're embracing that, because any of us that are trying to have a silver bullet marketing mentality, will be quickly disappointed. As you said,
right.
my best show and then nothing. And so
And then nothing.
that's just the way.
Now, and this is really cool because I signed up for the gathering of artisans, and I pushed myself out of my comfort zone, and I signed up for the visual scribe,
Oh,
where I'm going to
wow.
be painting live, right, and doing that because it's something I taught my students how to do, and never really have done. And as soon as I did that, I have 2 people that have called for weddings that I'm painting in.
Wow.
Like, I mean, and I'm just going to go for it. I haven't had the class yet, but I'm going to go for it, and it'll be good, right?
Never say no, right? Just, can you do that? Of course. Yes, I can do.
Okay, I did pray about it first. I didn't just jump in like I usually do. I did say a prayer and I asked God, is this where you're leading me? And I felt like
I
it
love it.
was. And so it will either be great experience and a learning opportunity, or it
Yeah.
will be successful. Like
Yeah.
either way, it's a win.
Yeah. Well, Beth, I love your story. I love the shift that's happening in your heart. And even more than that, I love it that you're now helping others do the same thing in what God's called you to do where you are. And that's even more exciting as well. So I know that there are so many folks that are watching today that are maybe just starting their journey in the mentoring program, or maybe somewhere in the middle in that weird transition time like you were of, I'm not where I was, but I'm not where I'm going. What would you say to them today just to encourage them on their journey, knowing what you know now about what the Lord can do?
Yes, don't give up. It's not a linear journey. Like for me, like I kind of think sometimes we think of things as like, point A to point B,
Yeah.
like it's a line. I was never on the line. I
Yeah.
was always
It's like
like,
this, right?
right. And so I feel like God kind of gave me this visual last night that my life is more like a jigsaw puzzle. And these pieces that you're getting are maybe over here in this section you didn't even really know about, or this other section over here, but you have opportunities to kind of put them together, and they eventually come together to create your whole story and who you
Yeah.
are. And I love that because it keeps me from having to stay, oh my gosh, I have to do module 1 and 2 and 3 and 4.
Yeah.
I sort of didn't do it that way. And yes, I tend to run around the block twice before I you know buckle down and really do it, but it allowed me to do that.
Yeah.
Like, and so don't give up. Like, I've heard people on the community chats and in this chat say, oh, I'm not far enough along, or I haven't really gotten where I want to be yet. Just hang in there, keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Like, don't stop,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it will come.
Yeah.
Right, if you're showing
Absolutely.
up and you're doing the work, it's going to come.
That's right. And just like you've done, do it at your own pace. And just, if you've got
Yeah.
time, do a little more. If you don't have time, don't shame yourself about it. Just
No, exactly.
keep walking, keep walking. So it's amazing. I think, Tanya and I were just talking the other day about a friend of ours who's an incredible artist, and her in-laws have come to live with them. And, just that time of life, they're in their, uh, I'll be 49 this year. They're in their mid 50s. And it's that, that kind of time of life where the kids are gone and the parents are moving in, or whatever. And she was just bemoaning the fact, our friend was like, gosh, I just don't have the time that I used to do my art, or wow, this is sucking my time or whatever. But it's like, you just got to embrace the season of life that you're in, and you can't feel bad about it. And some days you got more time, some months you got more time, some you have less. But I love what you're saying, just don't stop, just keep going, keep your head down, and
Right.
you will see progress. So, well, Beth, I know folks are going to want to connect with you and see the work that you're doing and all that sort of thing. So tell everybody, website, Instagram, whatever it is, where you want to
Yeah,
point people
I
to
mean, all
connect.
of it
So
is under my name, Beth Affolter. My website is adventures-in-art.com, where I have all my classes and whatnot. But you can find me either way.
I love it.
So,
I love it. Well, Beth, it's a joy to get to hear your story a little more. And thanks so much for using this time to encourage others along the
thank
way. So
you.
thanks.